Emily, you've been following. So you think she's legitimate?
Ketanji Brown?
Yeah.
Would define legitimate.
Well, do you support her for Supreme Court?
No. I mean, I think she's an activist. I think she's an activist judge. And it's an interesting question because the Senate sort of caught in this period where there used to be courtesy votes in favor of a president's nominee, right? And then they got away from that. And so now you still have the people like the Mitt Romneys of the world and the Lindsey Grahams of the world and the Susan Collins of the world who think, if somebody is qualified, we give them the courtesy vote. They're the president's choice, et cetera, et cetera. But nobody on the left or the right. I mean, that's a minority position on the left or the right, and the left and the right will pretend that's the consensus position when it is favorable to them. But this is a case where you have very much an activist judge, and you have this questioning process. It's sort of a given that she's going to be confirmed, but the questioning process is being treated as though in a number of different ways. Like, I sat down with Marsha Blackburn last week, and I said to her, there is a 100% chance that next week you are going to be called a racist. It is inevitable that whatever you say in your questioning, you are going to be called a racist. How do you respond to that? Is it time for Republicans, and I actually mentioned Ron DeSantis, to start flipping these questions, to start changing the narrative, and to stop accepting the premises of these questions? And I think we see a little bit of grappling with that on the right. You definitely see it in DeSantis. You definitely see it with Trump. But I'm not sure that everyone has fully gotten to it, because when you look at what happened with the Kavanaugh confirmation hearing, as has been invoked by many senators just in the early days of Judge Brown Jackson's confirmation hearing, it's night and day. I mean, it's incredible how you have Dick Durbin coming out and saying some of the questions to Judge Jackson have been, teetering near the line. And I was like, well, what the hell were you guys doing with Kavanaugh then? What were you doing questioning Amy Coney Barrett's faith? What were you doing? What was the media doing when they were talking about whether she might be a racist? Because Ibram X. Kendi, best-selling author, Ibram X. Kendi, extremely powerful author and commentator, Ibram X. Kendi, comparing her to a white colonizer because she adopted black children. A little bit close to the line there, Dick.
Yep.
I was speaking at an event, and we opened up for questions, and Styx Hexenhammer was coming in via Zoom, or what wasn't Zoom at the time, it was Skype or whatever back then, and someone asked a question about defending an individual for something they had said, and the individual was like a white nationalist or something. So it felt kind of like a woke journalist tee up to write about. And as soon as it came up, I was like, "Are you referring to that guy who's who has been reported to be a white nationalist? Is that what you're trying to ask about?" And then Styx immediately came in and he said, "We shouldn't dismiss people based on opinions that aren't relevant to the conversation. We should answer to the topic that's being brought up before us, so we can actually question the idea. We can't fall into that trap of someone being a bad person and all of a sudden the idea they present is dismissed outright because the person who said it's bad. Anybody could have an idea like 2 + 2 is 4. What do they say? Hitler had a dog too, right?" And I just thought that was an excellent response. So, bring this up when we're looking at what's happening with the media trying to accuse you or smear you as being racist. It's just, you have to completely disregard it as unserious and irrelevant. But the problem I think we have is that many Republicans care more about the opinion of the New York Times than their own constituents.
Yeah, they still do. And that is what is confounding.
And
because,
so,
go.
No, I was just going to say, so you've seen Senator Hawley, right, who's really done the work. That's the new phrase right now, do the work. He's actually done the work of digging up her record on these lighter than required sentences, lighter than suggested sentences for child porn offenders and child porn distribution. We should probably talk about this issue because she's bringing up, saying, well, it's different now. These laws were written during a time of child pornography distribution by mail, and so it was harder to accumulate such a large volume of it. And so because of each instance of possessing an item of child pornography, then it meant that person was a more serious offender. But because of the internet now, it is easier to accumulate large volumes, and so it created what she called a disparity in the system. Whereas, I think most normal people looking at that would say, well, doesn't that just mean it's easier to victimize children? So we should probably be harder against it because it's so much easier to victimize children with child porn other than when it was in the past and you had to do this very surreptitiously. And it also strikes me to that point as what you just said, that's a very activist argument, right? If you don't like the law...
It's a weird thing to be an activist for, to be completely honest.
Right. Isn't that thing, if somebody keeps talking about it, then we have to ask questions about why they keep talking about it. Well, why is this the one thing that she seems to be such an activist for, apologizing? I'm so sorry that you're going to feel shunned now by society. I think that, you're a good kid and you only really need 3 months. I mean, it was just a couple of 8-year-olds. You're not that much older. This actually was something that she said during a sentencing at one point.